Hello, our video today is working with fractions and percents. So let's start by taking a percent and converting it to a fraction. So remember, when we have a percent, something like maybe 15%, that the definition of percent means it's a number out of 100 or parts out of 100. So using that definition, we can simply rewrite 15% as a fraction by putting 15 over 100. And so there we've changed our percent to a fraction. And of course, whenever we write fractions, we always want to write them in lowest terms. So 15 over 100 can be reduced. We can divide out a 5 out of 15 and a 5 out of 100. So this would reduce to the fraction 3/20 in lowest terms. All right, so let's do a few more examples. How about 36%? Let's write this as a fraction in lowest terms. Now at any time you can pause the video and then restart it to see how you did. Okay, if you paused your video, welcome back. Let's start by using the definition of percent. 36% equals 36 over 100. However, 36 and 100 both have the common factor of 4. So if we divide numerator denominator by 4, we can reduce this fraction to 9/25. So how'd you do? Okay, let's try another one. How about 4%? Okay, again, let's start by writing as a fraction using definition of percent. So 4 over 100, and we can divide by 4 again. So this will reduce to 1/25. All right, how about this one? 160%. Well, again, let's not waver. Let's use our definition of percent. Okay, now let's reduce this fraction. Well, right away I can see I can divide out a 10, so an easy way to do that would be to cross out those zeros. And then 16 and 10 are both divisible by 2. So if we divide by 2, this would reduce to 8/5. And we can leave our fraction as an improper fraction, or you could write it 1 3/5, but typically we leave improper fractions the way they are in upper math. So 8/5 would be the equivalent of 160%. All right, so now let's work the other direction. Let's go from fraction to percent. Again, I can use definition of percent and set up a proportion. I know that 4/5 would be equal to some number over 100, and that would give me the percent. Now, in this case, this is an easily solved proportion because 5 goes evenly into 100. I can just multiply straight across and make an equivalent fraction. I can go 5 times 20 is 100, so 4 times 20 would equal n.
Mr. Beenan, call extension 2005. Mr. Beenan, extension 2005.
Yes, Mr. Beenan, make sure that you call them. All right, so this would simplify to make 80%. All right? Now, I know that many of you have been taught to cross multiply and divide, and that will work for any proportion. But oftentimes, I like to just multiply straight across and make an equivalent fraction if I can see that the denominators go into each other evenly, like this one here. All right, let's look at 11/25. Again, we can set up our proportion by setting 11 over 25 equal to n over 100. And again, 25 is a number that goes evenly into 100. It goes 4 times. So if I multiply numerator, denominator by 4, I'll make an equivalent fraction of 44 over 100. So this would equal 44%.
Call extension 2005. Mr. Walker, extension 2005.
Yes, Mr. Walker, make sure you call that extension. All right, well, we're going to keep going here. Sometimes that happens. We get interrupted. 9 over 20 and 18 over 60. Go ahead and change those to percents. Pause the video and do it on your own, and then check your answer.
Teachers, please report to your post.
I'm at my post. I'm making a video. Be quiet. All right, so let's let's go ahead and see what we got. So 9 over 20. This would equal n over 100. Again, 20 is a number that multiplies evenly. 20 goes evenly into 100. It goes 5 times. So 20 times 5 is 100. 9 times 5 is 45. Therefore, 9/20 is the equivalent of 45%. 18 over 60. Now, I can set this equal to n over 100, but 60 doesn't go evenly into 100. However, 18 over 60 can be reduced. So I'll try that next. Rather than cross multiplying and dividing, which would work, you can do that. That's fine. Nothing wrong with it. I'm going to go ahead and reduce this. I can divide out, if I divide by 6, this would reduce to 3 over 10. And then, of course, 10 goes evenly into 100. It goes 10 times. Therefore, 3/10 would equal 30%. So how'd you do? All right, let's do a couple more. So here we have 1/3. Now, I'm going to run into a problem here. If I set up my proportion, 3 doesn't go evenly into 100. All right, so I have a choice here. I can cross multiply and divide and get my percent that way. Or I could choose another method. I could take 1/3, convert it to a decimal, and then take my decimal and make it into a percent. So I think I'll use the decimal method because I just remember that 1/3 as a decimal is equal to 0.3 repeating. That's just, I've seen it so many times, I don't even have to divide 3 into 1. I know that's what I'm going to get. And I also know that I can easily convert my decimal to a percent simply by moving my decimal point over 2 places to the right. So if I do that, I will get not 33%, not 30%, not 33.3%, but I would get 33.3 repeating percent. That's the exact answer because that repeating decimal goes on and on and on. Okay, so here we have 5/7. And again, I'm going to have the same problem. Again, I'm going to have the same problem. 7 doesn't go evenly into 100. So I'm just going to go ahead and abandon that proportion method, and I'm going to go ahead and divide 7 into 5 and get a decimal. All right, so this is not going to be an exact whole number percent. So I can see here, if I'm going to the nearest, let's say, hundredths place, I can see that I'm going to end up rounding my decimal down to 0.71. All right? And so I'm not going to keep dividing and dividing and dividing. I have enough here where I can write a percent. And I'm going to put a little squiggly sign. It means approximately because I'm rounding my answer off. And so 0.714 is my decimal. If I multiply by 100, move that decimal over 2 places, I'm going to get 71.4%. And again, the little squiggly equal sign means that it's an approximation. I rounded my answer off. It's not exactly 71.4%, but it's pretty close. Okay, you've done a great job of listening. Thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow in class. And don't forget, read some books.